sewing circles. Nikima Levy Armstrong is misinformed. Jamal Bryant is misinformed. Nina Turner is misinformed. Tamika Mallory is misinformed. Black people did not benefit from DEI. If you don't want to believe the white media and the white newspapers, at least believe Black enterprise. At least believe Black enterprise. How do we start a whole national movement on misinformation? How do we do that? And then we start Negro business, start fighting each other. Who's the leader of it? Who's the originator of it? Of a movement that's built off misinformation.
This is the Publisher's Desk with Damon K. Jones, brought to you by Black Westchester Magazine.
Peace and blessings, everybody. This is Damon K. Jones, and welcome to another edition of the Publisher's Desk, powered by Black Westchester Magazine, blackwestchester.com. And tonight, we're revisiting one of the biggest corporate controversies of the last year, and that's the Target boycott. When this story exploded in early 2025, the narrative seemed simple. Target rolled back diversity initiatives, activists launched a boycott, sales dropped, stock declined, and eventually the CEO stepped down. But now that we're in 2026, the real question is no longer whether the boycott made noise. The question is, what did it actually achieve for Black America? See, did it strengthen Black economic power, or did it unintentionally hurt the very businesses it was meant to protect? Tonight, we're going to break it down. The real timeline, the consumer data, the vendor fallout, and the larger lesson about Black economic strategy. Because sometimes the most important conversations, brothers and sisters, happens after the headlines fade. Let's start from the beginning. Who actually shops at Target? Before we talk about the boycott, we need to understand who Target's customers were before all this started. Target does not publicly release detailed racial breakdowns of its shoppers, but third-party market research gives us a reliable estimate of who's actually shopping at Target. According to Statista data cited across multiple 2025 reports, Target's customer base looked roughly like this before the boycott. White consumers represented 67%. This has been Target's core demographic: suburban families, middle-class income households, millennials, and Gen Z moms. Hispanic and Latinos, roughly 14.5%. One of Target's fastest growing segments, especially in family goods and beauty products. Now, Black consumers, roughly 8.9%. That number appears repeatedly across retail data and boycott reporting. Sometimes it's around 8 to 10%, depending on the analyst. Remaining 10% comes from other groups, including Asians and multiracial consumers. Now, some people might look at that number and think, man, Black shoppers really didn't have much influence. But that would be a mistake. See, despite representing a smaller percentage of Target shoppers, Black consumers concentrate spending power. Boycott analysis estimated that Black shoppers were generating roughly $23 million per day in revenue before the Target boycott. That translates into billions annually. Because Black consumers often concentrate their spending patterns at certain retailers, our purchasing power can sometimes outsize our economic influence. And when the boycott started, the early numbers showed that influence was immediate. Retail data shows that the Black shopper at Target dropped significantly during the boycott periods. In some events, participation dropped 10 percentage points or more. That contribute directly into the decline in the store's traffic and revenue. So yes, the boycott did have leverage, but leverage alone does not determine success. Strategy does. Now let's talk about DEI and the rollback, which allegedly, through the reports, this is what it was all about, the DEI rollbacks. The controversy started around January 24th, 2025. That's when Target announced it was scaling back several diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Among the changes, there was ending certain supplier diversity goals, there was scaling back internal DEI programs, reducing elements of the $2 billion pledge to Black-owned businesses. That pledge has been announced after the George Floyd protests in 2020, when corporations across America made massive commitments to supporting Black entrepreneurs. But by 2025, the political landscape has shifted. Target said it was responding to an evolving environment. Most analysts interpreted that as corporate language for the growing backlash against DEI programs nationwide, especially coming from the Republicans. And that announcement triggered the boycott. But here's the strategic question we should be asking. Instead of calling for a full boycott of Target stores, why wasn't there a different strategy? Because inside of Target was hundreds of Black-owned brands that have fought for years to get shelf place in the national retailers. Companies like the Lip Bar, Tabitha Brown's product line, Black-owned hair care products, beauty supplies, independent Black entrepreneurs. For many of these businesses, Target represented access to over 2,000 stores nationwide. That kind of distribution can change a company overnight. So imagine a different strategy. Instead of don't shop at Target at all, what if the message had been go to Target, buy only Black-owned products? Target the Black products at Target. Think about the impact that would have had. Black vendors would have seen record sales. Target management would have still felt pressure as spending dropped in other categories. And the message would have been clear: support Black businesses, punish the corporation. Instead, the full boycott created a different situation. In some cases, the businesses caught in the middle were the very entrepreneurs that the movement said they was trying to protect.
And what I can tell you is, if we all decide to boycott and be like, no, we're not spending no money at these organizations. Listen, I get it. And if that's how you feel, honey, I 1000% get it. But so many of us will be affected, and our sales will drop. Our business will be hurt. And if any of you know business, it doesn't just happen overnight where you can just go take all your stuff and pull it off the shelves. There's a process. And then you got to, like, where you going to put it? You got to have a place to store it. That's money, right? You got to have another place to sell it, which is almost impossible sometimes. And even if you sell online, it's a process when it comes to business. And everyone does not have the funds or the means or the availability, the space to house their own products, right? But the thing that concerns me the most, and I want you to hear me and hear me well, if we all decide to stop supporting said businesses and say, you know, I can't buy nothing from there, even the businesses who were affected by the DEI ban, right? What that does is you take all our sales and they dwindle down. And then those companies get to say, oh, your products are not performing. And they can remove them from the shelves and then put their preferred businesses on the shelves. And then what happens to all the businesses who've worked so hard to get where they are?
And this is what the boycott did. It hurt Black businesses. This is what happens when you have misinformed Black leadership. And the fact of the matter is, Target carried more Black products than any other big superstore. And misinformed Black leadership had you boycott. Why didn't you boycott Walmart? Why would you boycott the store that carried the most Black products? And nobody asked the question. Nobody asked the question. They just followed along. And we hurt ourselves. We hurt the Black businesses that worked hard to get into a large distribution contract. That's what we did as Black people, following misinformed Black leadership. Now let's look at the boycott timeline. Once Target denounced DEI rollback, the backlash came quickly. On January 25, 2025, social media influencers began highlighting the issue online. Calls for the boycott spread rapidly. Soon after the political figures joined the campaign, they started calling to push the boycott. Around the same time, Reverend Jamal Bryant launched the Target Fast, encouraging Black consumers to stop shopping at Target, and he followed through. Now, having a national figure like Jamal Bryant getting involved in the Target boycott gave it even more publicity. And by February, the movement had become national. Now, what was the economic impact? Throughout 2025, brothers and sisters, the boycott began producing measurable results. The report showed declining in-store traffic, weaker sales growth, stock decline approaching 30%. The pressure that Black people put on Target was real. And by mid-2025, Target had reportedly lost billions in market value. Eventually, the CEO, Brian Cornell, stepped down. So the boycott clearly had an impact. But that wasn't the end of the story. The real story behind it was the vendor fallout. See, by March of 2025, reports began surfacing that some Black-owned vendors were losing contracts on shelf space. Most widely discussed example was Like You Cards, Black-owned card company. Founder Kiara Imani Williams revealed that Target had dropped the company's contract with little notice. The company suddenly found itself trying to sell roughly 20,000 unsold units after using the shelf space. The story was reported by the Black Information Network, Afrotech, New Pittsburgh Courier. Williams also stated that other creators of color were experiencing similar contract losses, which raises an uncomfortable truth. The boycott was intended to protect the Black economic participation, but the fallout seemed to land directly on Black entrepreneurs. That's an unintended consequences that wasn't thought out well by whoever organized the boycott. And we're still trying to figure that out. Now, let's look at the whole reason of the boycott, brothers and sisters. What was the reason of the boycott? Because of DEI. So let's look at DEI. Because clearly, Jamal Bryant, Tamika Mallory, my sister, Nina Turner, and I love them all. But it could. But if the boycott was for DEI, nobody saw the research, huh? Nobody saw the research. Many studies show that white women have historically been the largest beneficiaries of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and even affirmative action. See, the corporate pipeline data consistently shows that white women advance faster than most other groups. Yet, the public debate often frames DEI as it benefited Black folks. And that was reported by USA Today, Time Magazine, the Washington Post, the Miami Times, the Philadelphia Women's Network, and even Black Enterprise. How did we not miss that DEI did not actually benefit Black folks? It benefited the white woman. So the question was, what was the reason of the boycott? Now, Jamal Bryant issued a statement after his press conference in Washington, D.C., stopping the Target Fast with the confusion of the boycott.
The very last thing I ever want to do is be a proponent of division or divisiveness. I want us to be together as one. This week, I failed at doing that. When it is that I called for the end of the Target Fast, most in our community and culture were disappointed, angry, frustrated, and bewildered. What did it mean? Have you sold out? Have you given up? You wave the white flag? And emphatically, the answer is no. Publicly, privately, to the press and in conversation, I have heralded out loud the remarkable leadership of attorney Nikima Representative Nina, and Sister Soldier Tamika Mallory. I think that they are incredible leaders. And I don't want history to record that I tried to stand in the way of the leadership of warrior women. I absolutely tip my hat to them for their innovation, for their courage, for their passion, and their fire. It was my intention then, as it is now, to walk alongside them, but to never walk in front of them. Let the record reflect and show that it was Black women that started this movement. It was Black women who were at the helm. It has been my privilege to stand alongside them. I am grieved that because of the pain and the trauma and the triggers of leadership of days gone by, it was an immediate presumption that we have been bought off, or that I have been bought off. And I wanted to tell you, as God is my witness, I have not, and I would not. I am grateful to be free, to know that what it is that I do is because a charge I I have, and a God to glorify. In this year, I would be derelict and irresponsible if I did not take a moment to thank the Chamber of Black Commerce, led by their fearless director, Ron Busby. He walked alongside us and said, Jamal, while it is that you're calling people away from Target, you should be directing people to Black business. So when 300,000 people signed up at targetfast.org, they received a digital directory of Black businesses around the country, because we wanted to make sure that Black businesses thrived. Not only did we do that, but I want to thank 5 partner churches. The Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church in Houston, Texas, pastored by Marcus Cosby. Reverend soon-to-be Congressman Frederick Douglass Haynes III at Friendship West Baptist Church. My comrade at arms, Dr. Charlie Dates, in Chicago at the House of Hope. Reverend Stephen Green at Allen Cathedral in New York. And of course, right here in Atlanta, the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. Last year, we set up bullseye markets, where over 100 vendors went to each location, geographically, regionally, so that Black people would circulate their dollars and understand that we have a responsibility to exercise the Kwanzaa principle of cooperative economics. I want to pause and extend my heartfelt commendation to the Black businesses who over this past year have had to pivot and had to contort because of the adverse impact of this boycott. The Black businesses that were on the shelves of Target, who have seen a significant drop in sales because we were not there. We want you to know that we love you, we support you, we stand with you, and everywhere outside of Target that we can be of a benefit and an ally, I want you to know that we are committed to it. The authors who pulled your books off of the shelves because you stand in alignment and stood in agreement, I am most grateful for you making the sacrifice for the larger good. The last 72 hours have caused me to do a lot of soul searching to figure out where it is that we are, what it is that we've done, and what missteps were made. And I wanted you to be mindful that there were no private deals. And I've been grateful to be a part of it and excited to see your stick-to-itiveness and your passion. Even when it came to having to check me, I laid down on the train tracks. Y'all came and got me. And it was well-deserved, well-served, and it was well heard. And so to be clear, hearing from Soldier, Tamika Mallory, and Representative Turner, and Nikima, they have every intention of moving forward. And I believe that this is the hour where Black women lead. I believe that this is the hour where Black men take their rightful place in their rightful position. I am their brother and glad to walk behind them or beside them, and always available in any capacity, if necessary, to be able to be a partner. And I would ask that in this hour, that we would in fact take our cues from sisters. I'm glad to be a part of the journey and have been a part of what it is that God has called me to do in mobilizing congregations and churches and pastors all over the country. The real test of who we are is, can you follow when you are not leading? Can you follow when you are not in charge? And I am humble enough to realize that I am graced to be a part of a company of amazingly strong leaders. And I'm grateful that you have taken this boycott seriously, and you believe that this is something worth fighting for. I do not in any way, shape, or form claim to be the leader. I do claim to be a servant, and I'm grateful to serve. I'm grateful to be a part, and I'm excited about building a better community for this generation and for the generation that comes behind. Let's roll.
Now let's go to Roland Martin with Nikima Levy Armstrong's interview, because she claims that she is the originator of the boycott.
When I saw his attempts to co-opt the work of Black women organizers regarding this boycott, people who lived in the Twin Cities, which I specifically conveyed to him as to why this boycott was so important, because of the promises that were made after the murder of George Floyd at the hands of the police. And what did he do? He gaslit me when I said, you are trying to co-opt our work. He had a publicist book him on shows like yours, CNN, The Breakfast Club, to peddle a false narrative, positioning him as the leader of this boycott.
But it wasn't.
What makes it even more offensive is the fact that women are the ones who have sustained this boycott. Black women, white women, because we control the discretionary income in our households.
Nikima Levy Armstrong came in the interview swinging, accusing Reverend Jamal Bryant and Nina Turner and Tamika Mallory of co-opting the Black women's work, gaslighting, and causing confusion by trying to end the boycott permanently. So she doubled down on the boycott is Minneapolis-led, rooted in Target's post-George Floyd promise, and national figures jumped in late. Like, she's this super. Now, those are kind of fair points, right? If it originated in Minneapolis, you know, you got to give them a credit, give her some type of credit. But she doesn't want to work with anybody. Here's where she got sloppy, because half of the interview was spent attacking other leaders instead of laying out a clear, unified path forward. See, when Roland pushed for practical stuff, like how onboard new groups without more drama, how to communicate strategy, she pivoted right to calling people unserious and garbage and saying, we don't need them.
The boycott is continuing. You said that. So the question is, what is
we said it from day one that it was an indefinite boycott.
And I'm asking.
It wasn't 40 days.
One second. What is your plan of action for the boycott? 2, what are your demands of Target? What are your specific demands of Target? And 3, have those been articulated to the Target leadership?
First of all, when we sent out our press release on January 28th of 2025 announcing the Target boycott, we listed our demands at that time. And during our press conference that happened on January 30th. And as a matter of fact, 2 of our demands wound up on the targetfast.org website because of the trickery of these people involved. So that's number
hold
one.
on,
Number two,
one second. No,
we've
Nikima, 1 second. For the people who don't know your press release, what are those two demands?
Well, the first one is that the most obvious one is that Target reverses its decision to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion. That should be obvious. The second demand is for Target to account for the $2.1 billion that it pledged in 2021 in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd. Our third demand has to do with Target's involvement in increasing the incarceration rate in Hennepin County, Minnesota, leading to a young man by the name of Mahdi Ali, a young immigrant who at 16 years old.
And the demands themselves highlight the discontent. See, the big national ones like reverse DEI rollback, the full 2.1 billion transparency could help Black businesses coast to coast if enforced. But she kept hammering the third demand, amend for Target's role in Hennepin County wrongful convictions, specifically a case of a Somali immigrant. How ironic that this whole Target boycott started over a Somali immigrant. Black people, listen to what I'm saying.
Leading to a young man by the name of Mahdi Ali, a young immigrant who at 16 years old.
We're boycotting for a Somali immigrant.
Leading to a young man by the name of Mahdi Ali, a young immigrant who.
This is insane. This is insane. And this is the same woman who ran up in a church and disrupted people in prayer for immigrants. So we wasted our time, Black America, we wasted our time boycotting a business, destroying other Black businesses in the process. Listen to what I'm saying. And this whole boycott started over a Somali immigrant. See, this is why you can't trust social media all the time. You have to look into what you're doing because of the fact that Black people haven't understood justice. Anything that looks like we could get justice, we latch onto very quick because we are emotional about it. But we do not look into it as logical. And she never mentioned how DEI benefited white women, but she did mention that white women was part of organizing it in the beginning. So they're using a Black face to push more jobs for white women. Black women, you were never part of this. You were never part of this. And this is why it makes sense that it wasn't Walmart and Target and Sears and whatever. It was just Target. It was just Target. And Target was the one that most carried Black products. At least I give that to Jamal because he admitted the wrongdoing in that it hurt Black businesses. Not this woman here. She doesn't care. She doesn't care at all that it hurt Black businesses. She doesn't care at all to work with other Black leaders. She is a threat to Black America. She's not helping Black America. She's a threat. And anybody say, oh, well, you attacking that Black woman. No. If she wants to be in the leadership position, if she wants to go on shows like Roland Martin, she has to be held accountable because we don't have time as Black people to deal with foolish leadership like this. And here's something I want to say. I want to make clear. Black women, we love you, but you just fought for white women and migrants. That's what you did. You fought for white women and migrants from this Target boycott or Target fast that hurt Black businesses, had Black businesses lose their distribution deal. This is not leadership. This is not for Black America. We didn't have any alternatives. We don't have a distribution. See, what Jamal should have said that he is rallying Black churches throughout the country to create stores. and black businesses and black products can be in those stores throughout black America, then we wouldn't need a Target. How about that one? How about that one? When are we going to start talking about our own black distribution centers instead of boycotting white businesses to get money for white businesses so our organizations can be more dependent on white businesses? Because that's all that happens. We're begging white businesses for money. That's all we're doing. That's all we're doing. We're not having national conversations on building institutions. We're having national conversations to beg white folks for money and jobs. Matter of fact, black jobs. And we're not even winning with that. They're going to give a few organizations some money. And who are those organizations? The same organizations that get money all the time? And who are the black businesses that they're giving to? The same black businesses that get money all the time within the elite black Negro circle? What are the deals that we don't even know about? Some black folks get on the board of directors and they get a salary. We've been through this before, black people. And this is the reason why the black community is in the conditions that it's in. Because we go in circles. Nikima Levy Armstrong is misinformed. Jamal Bryant is misinformed. Nina Turner is misinformed. Tamika Mallory is misinformed. Black people did not benefit from DEI. If you don't want to believe the white media and the white newspapers, at least believe black enterprise. At least believe black enterprise. How do we start a whole national movement on misinformation? How do we do that? And then we start Negro business, start fighting each other. Who's the leader of it? Who's the originator of it? Of a movement that's built off misinformation. And at least Jamal Bryant can say that black businesses were affected by it. Now, whether people agree with Armstrong or not, the bigger issue, brothers and sisters, is what it has exposed. It exposed a weakness we keep seeing in black political economic movements. Confused leadership, fractured messaging, and multiple agendas operating under a public banner. And once that happens, the focus shifts away from the corporation and onto internal conflict. That is the problem of Negro leadership. Because when the movement becomes unclear, the company gets room to breathe. And that being one of the biggest lessons of the whole story. Impact is not the same as strategy. Black folks all over social media, black leaders arguing who was the leader in the head of a boycott. That looks silly. It looks silly. And still none of them have came up with a solution or agenda. How do we build a black economic base? Negroes arguing about who's over a boycott. One make deals to get money from them. The other one just want to be out here boycotting. But nobody is addressing the solution of a black economic base for black America. Nobody is addressing the issue. But see, when they're too tied to corporate America, you don't have the testicular fortitude to talk that talk. The real lesson is the black spending power. And this brings us to the bigger issue. Black Americans spend roughly $2.6 trillion per year in the U.S. economy. That's more than the GDP of many countries. That's more than the GDP of Mexico. But the real question is not how much we spend. The real question, are we being strategic how we spend it? Because economic power isn't just about money, it's about organizing, it's about strategy, it's about building institutions that protect our business. Too often we find ourselves in the same cycle. Instead of organizing on our own economic ecosystem, we end up begging corporations. See, we could do that ourselves. And then some of us keep boycotting. For what? Why don't you boycott Walmart? What's keeping you from boycotting Walmart? Economic power has never come from asking corporations for favors. And this is where we are with all our education. Maybe people need to reread Carter G. Woodson's Miseducation of the Negro, because our actions are showing that we are really miseducated, because power comes from ownership, investment, cooperative economics, and coordinated spending. None of them have talked about any of that. And we're here fighting and boycotting for a DEI program that didn't even benefit Black people. We should be ashamed of ourselves. So we have wasted a whole damn year just to end up seeing Negro leaders fighting among each other, who is the leader of this and who is the leader of that. And Black businesses have suffered because they have lost their distribution center, and not one of them have talked about building something for the Black businesses that lost out of the Target boycott. There is a finger that is behind some of these people that's controlling them. And if we don't see this, then we're failing. And they're keeping us away from the real conversation of building economic stability for Black America. If we don't start talking about it now, with the AI revolution, Black people are going to be so in the ditch. The only thing you're going to see is our eyeballs out of the Blackness, because that's how deep we're going to be. We have to get it together. And we have to start holding our elected officials accountable. We have to start holding them for having a Black economic agenda, because we're going to be out of jobs, poor, butt, and naked if we don't start building institutions to employ our own. So if you like this message, please like, share, leave your comments, and please follow. And go to Black Westchester Magazine, blackwestchester.com, and check out the articles that we have. We're independent Black media, unbossed and unbought. So we give it to you like it is, with the Black point of view. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, and stay Blacktastic. Peace out.
For extended policing and community-led public safety rooted in outcomes rather than slogans. 3 signed books. One bundle, $60. That's a $75 value. And you're getting signed copies included. This isn't left versus right. It's results versus rhetoric. Go to twosteppublishing.com and secure your signed political thought bundle today. It's going to be Blacktastic. For more than a century, Black America built its own economy under segregation, under discrimination, and under conditions most people today cannot imagine. We built businesses, we built banks, we bought land and property. In the Forgotten Blueprint, Damon K. Jones reveals how Black communities created thriving economic systems from 1800 to 1965, and why that blueprint still matters today. This book challenges the idea that our future depends on politics alone, and shows how ownership, family, and enterprise once powered Black prosperity. The blueprint is not lost. We just stopped using it. The Forgotten Blueprint, how Black America built its own economy from 1800 to 1965. On sale now at Two Step Publishing and Amazon. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and share it with others who need to hear the truth. And for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes access, join the Black Westchester Magazine YouTube membership club today. Your support helps us keep independent Black media strong. Support independent Black media with style. Rock Black Westchester merch and represent the news with the Black point of view. Every purchase helps us speak truth to power. Thank you to everyone who supported us through Super Chat. Your contributions keep independent media alive and thriving. We couldn't do it without you. For over a decade, Black Westchester Magazine has been giving our community a voice, reporting the stories others ignore, holding power accountable, and making sure the truth about our communities is told by us. But independent Black media only survives when the community supports it. If you believe in real journalism, community accountability, and keeping Black voices strong in local news, we need your help. Your donation helps us continue covering the stories that matter: politics, education, justice, and economic empowerment right here in Westchester. Support Black media, support Black truth, support Black Westchester Magazine. Donate today and help keep Black media alive. Because Black-owned independent media is Blacktastic. Black Westchester Magazine presents People Before Politics, the Sunday Rundown, every Sunday at 6 p.m. on YouTube. Join Damon K. Jones, A.J. Woodson, and Larnez Kinsey as they break down the biggest stories in politics, culture, and community from a Black point of view. No spin, no party loyalty, just logic, accountability, and outcomes. If it impacts Black America, we're talking about it. Tap in, subscribe, set your reminder. This Sunday at 6 p.m. is going to be Blacktastic.
This is the Publisher's Desk with Damon K. Jones, brought to you by Black Westchester Magazine, where life, culture, community, and faith meet truth, power, and purpose.